Whole sports all plays. Yeah. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. Sport all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Whole sports all plays.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the ASAP Afternoon Blitz. I'm Chris Gonzo Gonzalez, joined today by Mike Hughes and the stat guy Dustin Reese. How's it going, fellas?
Doing good, man.
It's going.
Hey, stat guy Dustin on the road covering some baseball. I'm gonna watch a little bit of baseball tonight. See if you think Judge is gonna get finally get 62 tonight.
I've been saying this for over a week, so I'm tired of saying tonight, Gonzo. I'm tired of saying this is going to be the night because I've been saying that. I was watching last night's game, and I watched a 40-minute rain delay for no reason because Judge was up to bat in the bottom of the seventh. But I think tonight, to me, definitely should be the night. It definitely should, and I think, being in Toronto, it makes it a lot easier, in my opinion, because, you're not in New York. You don't have the pressure of it being in New York. And obviously, you're not playing against Boston. I think Boston was one of the big ones. That's a lot in New York against Boston for numbers 61 and 62. Yeah. That's a lot of pressure. So I think against the Blue Jays in Toronto, I think it's a lot chiller. I don't know if it's tonight, but I think it'll definitely be this series.
And with all the history between the Red Sox and Yankees, Red Sox didn't want to be the team to give it up to Judge.
Yeah, they were not. You even saw it. Frankie and I were talking about it. You even saw it in the way they pitched against Judge versus everybody else. See, Riz is getting one, Oswaldo's getting one, Gleiber's getting one, and then Judge gets these, top shelf in the corner type fastballs, and it's like it doesn't make any sense. It did make sense, but you know what I mean.
Yep. Well, I told Frankie because if he's like, man, he might get up to 70. I said, no, these teams are going to quit pitching to him here toward the end of the season when he gets close to that record because nobody wants to be the one to give up the record.
Personally, myself, maybe this is like horrible of me to say this, and I was a center fielder, so I'm not a pitcher, so I don't know, and the real mentality of what it's like to pitch. When I came in to pitch, I was there to hit somebody. Like that's what it was, or we were losing 100-0. But for what it's worth, like for me personally, I would love to be the guy that he hits number 62 off of because, like, Rob Scott says it all the time. Any publicity is good publicity, and he is going to forever be a part of history in that highlight reel. Maybe he's not, the face of the highlight reel, but he's there, and I think that was crazy. But
I think that's what you was talking about earlier.
yeah. But I don't know. I would want to hit it. My dog is going crazy right now, so I'll be right back. But
what do you think, Dustin? You think he gets 62 tonight?
I don't think he gets it tonight, but I don't even know if he gets it at all in the Toronto series, honestly, because you have to look at what Toronto's playing for at this point. Toronto leads the wild card race right now. I believe they have a 1.5 game lead over Tampa Bay for that number 4 spot, which would mean Toronto would be hosting that first round wild card. They can't afford to let Aaron Judge beat them. They need to have somebody else beat them, so I can easily see Toronto kind of being careful with how they pitch to Judge this week just so they can try to maintain that lead in the wild card spot. And then when the Yankees go and play the Orioles over the weekend, I think that's when he does it.
Yeah, I could see that one for sure. I don't know. I still got Toronto going to the World Series, but that's just me.
I do too. I picked them since day one, and everyone was laughing at me when they got off to the start they got off to. And I'm like, it's because their starting pitching sucks. Now you're getting good starting pitching, and look what happened.
100%.
Yeah, their starting pitching was off to a terrible start at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you though, and I talked to both of you guys about it. I'm gonna double down. But my original prediction, Dustin, I want to say it was what we did this during the lockout. We were talking about.
I think you said
it was Atlanta versus Toronto because I said it's gonna be the Athletics' only World Series. You're gonna have Matt Chapman versus Matt Olson. But if I had to say it right now to what I do truly believe, like what's probably going to happen, I'm going to say St. Louis versus Toronto, and I think that's the way it could pan out. But I'm
saying the same thing. I've been on the Mets bandwagon all year, but now with Scherzer being hurt, I've kind of switched over to St. Louis too, just because storybook ending. Give it to Pujols.
100%.
Yep.
And
I've been on the Mets all year as well. I had the Mets and I had the Subway Series, Mets and Yankees, but is who I went at the beginning of the year. But I've been on the Mets all year. But with Scherzer getting hurt, I think that's really it's going to make it tough on the Mets.
Now, when you look at it, though,
can't count the Cardinals out because they're a gritty team and they're always hot in October.
You saw how well they played though without DeGrom there. Do you think there's a chance that they could do the same exact thing without Scherzer there?
Yes and no. The only fear I have is
playoff baseball,
playoff experience as a starter.
Right.
You have Jacob DeGrom and nobody else because Chris Bassett has one career playoff start where he got lit up,
something like that.
And then Taijuan Walker 0 playoff starts. The rest of that rotation 0 playoff starts outside of Scherzer. They need Scherzer for that experience because you can line them up how you want it. Where game 1 and 2, it's Scherzer and DeGrom, and then basically game 5 and 6 it's Scherzer and DeGrom.
Yeah, that's honestly ideal. And I think like what the beauty of that was, one, with DeGrom being out, it was like it's April. Who gives a shit? It's May. Who gives a shit? And that's what it was. So, your guys really aren't in their groove. They aren't in their strides from an offensive perspective, usually until like June, July, more or less, unless you're like, a 1A type guy on a franchise. But, I think, they got away with that because it was so early on in the season. But like Stat Guy said, going into postseason when guys are hot, guys are ready, I think it's definitely going to be a problem. I'd give it to St. Louis.
Yeah, I would too.
Especially when you look at how Montgomery and Quintana have pitched since they got to St. Louis.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about Quintana ever.
I know Walker for the Mets hasn't been pitching as solid here the last few weeks as he was earlier in the season as well.
Yeah, it definitely, like, I'm not gonna go too crazy on it, but it's something I'm paying attention to. You know what I mean? Like. It's definitely one of those things. Maybe it's just a little rut he's in or something. It happens at some point of every season for somebody. But it's getting a little too close to October for me to be able to be comfortable with saying, oh, he's going to be all right,
What'd you think about the crazy day in the NFL yesterday?
I had myself a great day.
I had a great day too because my team was able to pull off upset as well. I think maybe I have to quit watching the game because Colts game live streaming pro wrestling show at the same time. And first game I don't watch, they win.
Yeah, it was. I actually got to catch. So I don't know if how you were watching it, but so the way it went, Roquan Smith catches the game-winning interception. Bears win it off with a field goal, and then immediately I turned on the Colts game. Turned on immediately after that. That interception happened like 5 seconds into that. And I was like, oh, shit, that turned off. They turned on the Miami game. The Miami game ended the way it did. And I was just like, I was sitting here with my moms, and I was just losing my mind, bro. I was like, what? This is the best day. This is the best 3 minutes of football I've watched in forever. And it's all live. I felt like I was watching ESPN highlights. Like, it was crazy.
Oh, that Buffalo and Miami game, when you look at the stats, Buffalo, I mean, you look at the stats, you would have thought Buffalo would have blown them out.
Right.
If you look at the stat lines in that game, I didn't get to watch a lot of that game. Was it just Miami's defense making stops?
It was water, bro. It was a lot of guys being dehydrated. It was a lot of guys cramping up. And I believe they were in Miami, if I'm not mistaken. But Yeah, a lot of guys were cramping up because of the heat. A lot of guys were getting sick. That's from what I was hearing. And that's why you see all the memes on Facebook saying, okay, well, the Dolphins just beat the practice squad for the Bills, but so many guys were going in and out with cramps and all this other stuff going on. But to me, I mean, the way I see it, especially playing sports for as long as I did, like that's a part of the game. And I know Dustin knows it as far as anybody too, especially in July baseball and in the minors, you're playing in AAA. A part of this game, a part of your game plan needs to be hydrating. And if you're not doing that, then to me, it's a fair fight because we came hydrated. Miami came hydrated. So why shouldn't you? And I think, going into that expectation, it's definitely a part of the reason, pulling out that win. But Tua balled out. And then I heard from what I'm hearing is the NFL is looking into an investigation on Tua coming back into the game because
that looked bad.
He was wobbling off the field, bro. It looked bad. And for him to come back as soon as he did, they're definitely going to investigate that. I don't even know if he went in the blue tent that long. I think he went in there for like 5 minutes and came out. So I don't know. I think, there's a lot that went into it. But like you said, the Bills won this game from a statistical standpoint. So there's a lot, you could say. Gonzo, are you good? Is somebody in the crib?
I heard a noise. Something fell. I was looking around to see what happened. I think I'm
pull
good.
Pull it out. Gee, someone's here. But I'm not. I think D. I don't know if you have anything on that, but I just think Miami came to play. They were ready.
And I think this was kind of the game that I was waiting to see. I'm still not 100% sold on Tua yet. I need to see more. I need to see more of what he did in that 6 touchdown game. Not saying throw 6 touchdowns every week, but see more of those consistent games. And he went out against Buffalo and did not play that well. He only had like 185 yards or whatever it was. I think 1 or 2 touchdowns. But bottom line is Miami got the win. And I think now it's time that we need to start taking Miami seriously as a serious threat in the AFC. And we saw it last year with Brian Flores there where, yes, the team got off to a 1-6 start, but they went 7-2 down the stretch and were a team that literally just missed the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So they were a team that was on the rise already last year. They added Tyreek Hill. They have Tua back. They have Waddle back. They have Gesicki. They have a lot more healthy bodies than they had last year.
Look at Edmonds and all those guys they brought in.
And now they just added an offensive-minded head coach, and you're seeing what it's doing for that offense. At this point, looking at how the AFC is right now, obviously 3 weeks into the season, you can't take too much stock away from it, but I think Buffalo, Kansas City, and Miami are the 3 teams that should be the favorites to come out of the AFC right now.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's definitely, it's something where you look at it for what it is, and I think I'm good. Gonzo, can I say what I want to say for 20 seconds?
Yeah.
I had the fucking Los Angeles Chargers defense on my fantasy team last night, and Jacksonville is apparently going to the Super Bowl because they gave me -6 points, and they beat them. I mean, right now, in all seriousness, when you look at the
Gonzo can back me up on this too, but I've had Jacksonville winning the AFC South since August.
Relax. But
I said Doug Peterson was going to do exactly what he did with Carson Wentz in year 2. You take a team that struggled with Carson Wentz as a rookie. Year 2, they go to the Super Bowl. You had Trevor Lawrence, who struggled as a rookie with a head coach who had no business being a head coach in the NFL. And you give him a guy that knows how to work with young quarterbacks, and Lawrence is playing well.
Lawrence is that guy. Lawrence is him. And I've told everybody on this network that from day one, I watched every game at Clemson since 2016, 2017. I always knew it was this kid's time to shine. We just needed to wait for the moment. But Gonzo, what's up with the Chargers, man? What's going on?
That surprised the hell out of me. We was at that, like I said, we was doing wrestling. My dad was keeping track of football on his phone while we're doing the wrestling. And he told me the score, and I said, "What? I said, did Herbert play? Because I thought maybe Herbert didn't play because I knew
he got that injection or something."
He goes, "No, Herbert's playing." But for Jacksonville's defense to be able to shut down their offense like they did was even more impressive to me than them scoring all the points.
Yeah, it was outstanding, bro. Like it was something, and like you said, like I get Herbert's a little messed up right now. I believe Keenan Allen is still out as well.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it. That's a huge part of it in my eyes. But again, it's next man up mentality all the time. And if the Los Angeles Chargers want to take themselves as a serious contender to say, we're Super Bowl ready, you need to be able to come up and show out. Like, that's what it is. And I think, it's something right now. You even saw it yesterday against Tom Brady. Julio's out. You're looking at Godwin's out. Evans is out. All these guys are out. And it's wide receiver 1. And Gonzo, what have I always been telling you? It's Scotty Miller. It's Scotty Miller, 110%. Y'all got to respect Scotty. But in all seriousness, like, you got to be able to have that next man up mentality. So for them only losing Keenan,
they still have a lot of weapons. You got Mike
Williams. You got all those guys. And it's like, for you to sit here and say that, and respectfully, like, Dustin, I'll give you credit where credit is due. Like, Doug Peterson is amazing at building an offense, and I believe that. But the defense just hasn't. They're solid guys. They're solid guys, but that's not your I'm winning the division type guys. You know what I mean? Like, they can definitely show out, but for a certified offense in the Chargers lose the way they did to a brand new defense in Jacksonville, like, that was beyond me.
And with Jacksonville, the other thing that's really surprised me is where they've really been winning at, I think, is the line of scrimmage. Against the Colts last week, they blew the Colts off the offensive side of the ball and defensive line of scrimmage did. And I think they controlled the line of scrimmage yesterday against the Chargers like that as well. If their offensive and defensive lines keep playing like that, they are going to be tough to beat, because if you can win the line of scrimmage, you're going to win most games.
Right, 100%. And I was listening to Ray Cruz talk about it on his show last night on ASAP. So if you haven't checked that out, I bet he could tell you a completely better version of what I'm about to tell you. But there's cornerstone piece was their center, and really just getting it into what they want to do. So I think it's really exciting to see how that pans out and how that moves and how that's going to move moving forward. It's really exciting to see these guys get out there.
Oh, Rob Scott's in the house.
Rob Scott!
Mike Hughes!
Did you watch any of the Jacksonville Chargers game, Rob?
I didn't get a chance to check it. I had to fortunately check out the highlights because I was watching the Bears game. But wow.
And you guys could even argue that Jacksonville could be 3-0. Wow. Realistically, they could be 3-0 because if Washington doesn't have that explosive second quarter where they scored 21 points, Jacksonville outscored them 24-7 the rest of the game.
Did you see not Jacksonville, sorry. Did you see Washington too, the statistic that the Eagles had over 300 passing
323 to -1?
And they had -1. And I was like, Carson's the GOAT though, right?
I also saw a stat today that through the first three weeks of the NFL, we've had the most 3-point games or closer than in NFL history.
It's been good. It's been real good.
It was definitely yesterday. I called it the Sunday of the underdog. I mean, it was from the Colts beating the Chiefs, from the domination that Jacksonville did to the Chargers. I mean, it was true. Even Rodgers beating Brady. Like, to me, even though Brady, had an extremely level of difficulty, offensive line messed up. You have no receivers left. Still. For that Packers team to pull it through, I can't really say Aaron Rodgers, but for that Packers team that pulled it through with the defense that they were able to do, because we thought we were going to see it again. We thought we were going to see it again. We thought we were going to see Brady magic again. When he went on that scoring drive, I said, there you go, right on time. Tom Brady refused, but he gets a delay of game. It was just. Oh my God! Yesterday was truly, and then Miami beating the Bills. I think that had to be the biggest shock of the day.
I don't think that was the biggest shock of the day because I said before you hopped on that Miami was 7-2 down the stretch last year, and really the only addition they made was adding Tyreek Hill and an offensive-minded head coach. And we've seen this with the Dolphins team before. They've started the season 0-6 and then go like 10 or go 8-2 down the stretch. So Miami's always had the talent to do what they've done, and now I think you're finally seeing what an offensive-minded head coach can do with all that offensive talent.
Yeah, I think, when you look at it, too, for what it was, they went, 0-7 last year with Brian Flores, and then they went 7-0 to the next 7 games. Like, they were just very inconsistent, kind of just had a couple bad games, but I think they definitely would have made the playoffs if they started the season a little bit better last year.
Yeah, that was crazy. I caught like the end of that game because I was watching. I mean, first of all, Miami with the home field advantage. It was so hot out there just to see everybody at the end of the game, like, Stephon Diggs, he was messed up like that whole game, in at least the second half. And it was just, you can tell that heat was a problem. But Miami, though, that defense is tenacious. Like what they were able to do to Josh Allen, even though Josh Allen, in one in particular, I know he had one in the end zone. He just underthrew the guy, like he just hit the ground. And Josh Allen doesn't not too often he will make that mistake. But
can you really credit Miami's defense though?
It was a testament to their defense. Now, their defense.
Josh Allen had 400 yards passing.
Hey, but
they showed up.
They showed up when they needed to show up.
Buffalo still ran 96 plays. I mean, outside of the one series at the end of the game when their defense showed up, you really can't credit Miami's defense because Buffalo still had over 500 yards.
You can. You had over 500 yards, but you only put up 19 points. Regardless of the short yardage that Josh Allen was able to get, they wasn't scoring. And that's a testament to defense. You don't hold the offense like that to 19 points and not give them any credit.
Right. And even someone like for me, like we always talked about it. Like my coach would always tell me, he's like, I don't care if they have a 90-yard bomb on you. If they score 7, then I'm on your ass. If they don't, then we'll talk about it later. But, there's a conversation of, you look at it for what it is, Dustin. Okay, now at the end of the day, Josh Allen gets to sit down, look at his wife and say, I threw 400 yards today. Did you win? No. And I think that's one of the biggest parts about it is, statistically, he had a pretty solid day. But if you can't get into the end zone, then you're not playing offense. You're just playing catch up the entire game.
Even if you're talking about him having a solid day, he's 42 of 63. First of all, that's entirely too much for your quarterback to be throwing 63 times. So a credit to them not even allowing. We know Buffalo doesn't have a run game to begin with. And Miami made sure they kept that as their weakness.
Bears don't even throw that shit at 20 times.
They challenged Josh Allen and said, okay, we know you're right now considered the top quarterback. You're considered the man in the league. I challenge you to beat me with your arm. You're going to have to throw it 63 times in order to beat me. And he did exactly that. And Miami said, we're not going to let you beat us. 42 out of 63. He threw for 400 yards, but only 2 touchdowns. Team could not get going at all.
I like that one at Devin Singletary though. That was a pretty solid one to start the game.
But it was a great Sunday. Yesterday was definitely had some great games on yesterday.
Look at these bearded men on here.
Bearded man.
Bearded men. Look at these bearded men.
Oh God. What else happened yesterday? Who else? What were some other games that caught your attention? Bengals finally was able to get one. They finally started to look like the old Bengals.
Yeah, that was a solid performance. I tell you what, though, T. Higgins had a touchdown, double toe tap in the end zone, and they called it out. I had him on fantasy too. I lost my mind. I lost my shit. I was ready to throw a TV. I had the Chargers getting dominated by Jacksonville.
Oh my God.
I had David Montgomery, who played 3 carries and decided his knee didn't want to work anymore. And then I had T. Higgins getting robbed. I had Jalen Waddle, who was tired because it was hot out. And I was just like, I had Josh Allen, who I was just like, what are you doing? Because I'll tell you what, Dustin, those 400 yards did not help me in fantasy yesterday.
You still kicked my ass by like 30?
Gave me like 23. And I was just like, this isn't good enough.
Dude, I got demolished yesterday in fantasy. I got demolished because David Montgomery goes down in the first quarter. Like Tom Brady, even though I kept going back and forth because I got him and I got my boy from the Chargers on that. So I know he's hurt with that rib injury. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just stick with Tom. I think Tom will be able to pull it out. Stephon Diggs did nothing. Justin Jeffries did nothing. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I got killed yesterday in fantasy.
I'll tell you what though, Lamar Jackson MVP conversations need to start.
Oh, they need to start. Hold on. Hashtag pay that man. I've been screaming it for you, Lamar. I might have been the only one on this network screaming it, Lamar. Everybody acting like you winning MVP just meant nothing. Everybody, oh my God, he can't do this. He can't do that. Let's talk about what he can do. And that man is a winner. I don't care what nobody said. Lamar Jackson is a winner. Pay that man.
He has to be the front runner right now for MVP.
I would put him with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts been playing out of his
mind. And in Baltimore cost themselves a lot of money.
Right. I think, and this is
not getting him signed before this season if he keeps this up.
Because the bag going up. What Fat Joe say? Today's price is not yesterday's price.
100%. I think I look at it the way Aaron Judge too. Like Aaron Judge was the same situation. They told him, "All right, go bet on yourself." And now Aaron Judge got what? Triple crown. You're gonna get 60+ home runs this year. You're gonna break a record. Could go to the World Series. Who knows? Like we'll see what happens. But man, like
watch baseball and that sound amazing.
Exactly, but they told bro to bet on himself, and he's having.
Damien, don't comment unless you know how tiebreakers work. The Packers lost to the Vikings week 1. That's why they're not in first place. Minnesota's undefeated in the division. Go cry in your corner.
Roquan needs his money. No, he doesn't. He can go get it somewhere else. But I think for Lamar, why I have him over Hurts, and maybe I don't look at it right, and maybe that's why I don't get a vote. But I see Devontae Smith. I see A.J. Brown. I see all these solid pieces around, the Philadelphia Eagles. And then I look over and I see Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson, and a whole lot of nothing. A whole lot of nothing. And Lamar's doing it with a whole lot of nothing. I like Bateman.
And J.K. Dobbins has been hurt.
Yeah, J.K.'s hurt. The entire backstop is hurt for them. So
I think the only reason why Hurts has put himself in that conversation is he's become the first quarterback in history with 900 passing yards and 150 rushing yards through 3 games.
Yeah, he's been a stud for sure. But I think Lamar is doing a lot with a little. And I think that speaks volumes. And I talked to Gonzo about it. Rob Scott, me and you've been talking about it all year, baby. Yeah. We're looking at OBJ and where OBJ might go. I think if Lamar keeps playing the way he's playing, Buffalo or Indiana or someone like that doesn't offer him, I would go to Baltimore.
Yeah, I think Buffalo gonna. The only reason I say Buffalo is because Von Miller. He has been the biggest advocate for OBJ, and he was just talking about it yesterday. He was like, "Well,
he talks about it every post.
We don't know where he's gonna go, but hopefully when he gets healthy, he helped us with the Rams, and he gives that man credit. And
Dude, I love when Von speaks, bro. Von's hilarious. They'll walk up to Von, they'll be like, "Yo, Von, how'd you perform today?" He'll be like, "I don't know, but all I do know is OBJ is one hell of a player." And I'll be like, "If you don't get the fuck on, bro. If you don't get,
you know what else is must see TV now? Whenever they interview Tyreek Hill after a game.
Oh yeah, God. He's something, bro. He does not give a crap. Like he just talks, and I love it.
Especially calling out Eli Apple for Thursday.
Mm-hmm. I still don't think he's a top 5 wide receiver, but to each their own.
You know what, dude? The crazy thing is,
I don't think he's top 5.
This is so crazy because I hear how people talk about the lack of route running. Like they were talking about Scotty Miller and how he doesn't run any routes. I
love Scotty Miller.
And I said, well, to me, he's just like a poor man's Tyree. Tyree don't run route. He runs an out route, and he just outruns everybody. We saw yesterday was the perfect example of if Tyree is not able to speed you, he's kind of held useless in the game. He's not going to run route. That's what Waddle was there for. Waddle, if we need something, a route ran, that's my go-to. I'm going to Waddle. So it's But these are the experts, ladies and gentlemen. These are the experts.
My homies in Chicago kill me on that all the time. You know what? I'm going to screen record this whole segment and send it to them because they all say I'm the only person in the world that doesn't have him top 5. They all say they say I'm going to hit my boy Nick. He has elite hands, to quote Nick, and then he's an amazing route runner. And I'm like,
you're not watching football if you think Tyreek Hill is a route runner.
And you know what? I love Tyreek. I think he has great change of direction. I think he has great speed. I think he does a lot of great things. But, I mean, you're lobbing it up 60 yards and it just falls into his hands. That's not elite hands. That's just he's not one grabbing it. He's not going crazy. I'm literally watching the guy catch a slant or catch a screen pass and then go 90 yards with it. And it's like, what are we talking about?
And I watched him for a while. People forget. It's a couple. If you look in those earliest parts of the season when he played with the Chiefs, Tyreek Hill was the king of drops.
Yeah.
And tell you, he dropped things that were like right in his hand. And you would be looking like, how did you drop that? Like, if you don't drop that, that's a TD. You going straight to the crib, Stibby.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's crazy, man. It's I don't know, but I will also say, man, I am shocked about the Raiders because I was one of those people.
I'm not shocked about the Raiders.
I know, Dustin. You know what, Dustin? I got to give you credit when credit is due. Dustin said that. He
Josh
said,
McDaniels, Josh
McDaniels
McDaniels has proven how useless of a head coach he is.
I said
100%
that
how
the beginning of the
useless
year.
of a head
That's what
coach
worried
is.
me about the Raiders was Josh McDaniels.
I gotta give it to Dustin because Dustin, we had like a whole. I think I was coming from the airport from Detroit at that
Yeah.
time.
I didn't think they were going to be this bad, though.
He failed in Denver, even though I don't think that was his fault. He backed out of the Colts job when that was actually probably the best position he would have been in, considering who the quarterback was at that time. And now he goes to the Vegas Raiders. He's proven that not every coach is cut out to be a head coach. He's not cut out to be a head coach. He's cut out to be an offensive play caller. That is it.
I think the Colts
the Raiders are
back
bad.
out of the Colts job.
The Raiders are bad, and it's not looking good at all. And I don't know what it is that Derek. And we thought they were going to have this rapport, him and Devontae. Like, dude, you got a dog on your hand. Use that man.
Right. And you know what, Gonzo, if you will allow me to, I would like to share something really quickly because it's bothering me. So I get the notification, right? All right, Raiders owner and McDaniels are sitting together in a closed door interview after the game. Let me tell you something. If this man closed the door on me, if this man said, "Come into this room and speak to me alone,"
you about to sell your soul.
Open that fucking door right now. You're a predator. You, sir. No. Like, I'm not. No, we're not sitting in a room together.
There may be two open doors.
I need the windows open, the doors open. I need 911 already pressed on my phone, and I'm recording the entire thing.
Oh, I feel like when you walk in that room, he's going to say, "How bad do you want to win, my son?
How bad do you want to win?" Hey, he's going to pull up the record, 0-3. How are you going to make this up to me? No, sir.
God.
No,
he
sir.
Said, "Open the door."
Here is my whistle. Here is my playbook, sir. I'm going home. I don't want any
that's
part
hilarious.
Of it. Hell no. But I'm sorry, Gonzo. I saw that.
No, hey, that was good.
Hey, that was much needed.
I saw that and I was like, close. It didn't just say an interview. It said closed door. I was, no, sir.
A closed door meeting. That's what I said. Because I heard it on the radio this morning when I was on my way to my doctor's appointment. And I was like, what?
No,
if he fires him, who's he going to get? I mean, you've already spent all this money because even though did they have to buy Gruden now? Did Gruden get any money?
I believe they had to pay Gruden a lot.
Yeah.
So you already had to pay Gruden. Now you paid McDaniels. You fire him. And they're already a team that supposedly don't have a whole lot of cash. So
you know what, though, Gonzo?
They're a team that don't have a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah, I think you got to ask Dustin on that one because I believe if you got fired because of what happened, I don't know if they necessarily did pay Gruden a lot of money.
They have a settlement they got to pay him, but they don't have to pay him his whole contract.
Settlement, right? Yeah, it's kind of like a here's your 2 weeks salary.
Here's your instead of getting your $10 million a year, here's your $2 million a year for the next 4 years. Go be quiet.
Right.
But when you look up and you 0-3 and you just look at yesterday's game and Devontae Adams only has 5 receptions and 36 yards.
Dumb.
But yet Mac Hollins has 8 receptions for 158 yards.
Right.
So how is Derek Carr the problem?
Derek Carr's not.
He's had 4 coaches in 8 seasons. That's not on Derek Carr. That's on Raiders ownership.
Right, and that's just coaches. Like if we're talking about offensive schemes, probably a lot more. But I think when you look at it for what it is, let's break it down. Hunter Renfrow is out of this game. I think that's a big key part of it. Josh Jacobs is not him. I've said this. I've screamed this. He is not the guy of the future. He's faster when he's having a DUI driving his car on the highway than he is on the field. So I have to take that for what it is. But I just think, when you look at it for what it is and understanding, okay, where's your 2021 or 2020 first round draft pick in Alex Leatherwood? He's on the Bears, and you got rid of him.
I mean, he's not on the Bears right now. He's
He's got mono. He's got mono, so he's not. He's with the Bears, but he's not on the Bears currently. But it's something to where you've whiffed on all these draft picks. You've whiffed on all this other stuff. You've let free agents walk. You got your cornerback posting pictures of an AK-47. You got Henry Ruggs going 150 into some women at 2 a.m. Like, there's a lot of things that went wrong. So I'm not going to sit here and look at Derek Carr, Damian, and say that Derek Carr is the issue. Derek Carr is the only remaining constant that's been on this team that you could look at in a positive light. And oh, yeah. Hey, Rob Scott, how'd I forget? Your tight end's on crack. So, I mean, sorry, forgot to say that. 4 weeks into the season, he just decides he's on crack and he has to go to rehab. And I'm not trying to be a jerk. I understand addiction is real. Addiction is something to take into consideration. But when you have 3 guys who are addicts, one guy who's posting AK-47s and the other guy who just went to prison, and the head coach is banned and canceled for life from anything sports related, it's how are you going to sit here and tell me, oh, yeah, man, Derek Carr is the problem, though?
It's a front office problem.
What are you talking about,
bro? They are a fiasco.
Your front office isn't scouting the kind of people they're bringing in very good. I mean, for all that to be going on,
they've also had scandal. You know what they had to deal with that receiver.
I'm almost at the point now where I think it was Jim Harbaugh or bust for the Raiders. And when they heard how close Jim Harbaugh was to signing with the Vikings, I think they kind of panicked and just wanted to get Josh McDaniels in the building, so they had somebody there.
Right.
Because Eric Bieniemy, I think, would have been a better choice than Josh McDaniels.
He's still in KC?
Yep, he's still in KC.
He is, and you saw that they were arguing.
Yep.
They got into it, but Bieniemy and Mahomes got into it.
Right before halftime, yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm talking. Hey,
Mahomes wanted to try to score some points with the final 24 seconds in the first
half.
half.
And I'm starting to wonder if this is what's actually causing Bieniemy not to get a job.
No,
because if you're butting heads with Mahomes, there's got to be some sort of internal issues going on with that offense right now.
I think the reality of it and what you need to understand it being and where Mahomes is frustrated, especially when you come into a league and you're already acclimated and you're already sustained success with, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, obviously Kareem Hunt for a short period of time, CEH and all those other guys. I think, it gets frustrating. And you see it from Aaron Rodgers right now too. It's super frustrating when you look at your head coach and say, yo, let me go down the field and let me score. But the reality is it's not a Mahomes thing. Mahomes can do it. But the reality is outside of Travis Kelce, what do you really have? You have Hardman, you have Juju and CEH, and that's really it. But you don't really have that amount of momentum to really carry your offense to really get you those extra points. So I think Mahomes really wanted to go down the field and drive. But Eric Bieniemy and Gonzo's talked about it all the time. You have to do what's best for the team. And the reality of that is if you try to go down there and get some points and end up throwing a pick or just waste time or somebody gets hurt, then that's Eric's ass. So I think that's what they have to look at it from that perspective. You don't have, like we just said about Tyreek, you don't have a guy that's just going to run down and get 90 yards off of one pass. Like you have Juju Smith-Schuster, who's probably doing the gritty in the middle of the huddle and doesn't even know what's going on. So, I think that's something everybody's looking at. So I think, the butting heads, it's just, Mahomes wanting to do his thing, but Eric Bieniemy understanding it's best for the team if they don't. And I think that's really what that was. I don't think that's an issue with Eric. I think Eric's real issue, and honestly, it has nothing to do with Eric. I think it's just being a black man in today's sports. I think it's a huge part of it. And I think it's a huge part of why he hasn't gotten a job yet. And I might say that time and time again. And, a lot of people have told me, you're just a white boy. Maybe I shouldn't act on that. But I think, being who I am and being where I'm from is, you have that perfect understanding. I've seen it time and time again. I've only had, a minority as a head coach a couple times in my entire playing career in Chicago. You typically have some white guy telling you what to do. And I think, that's definitely a part of Eric. I don't think Eric's mentality has any part of it.
Well, let me tell you this, Mike. Anybody who's telling you you're just a white boy, don't speak on issues that you see in the world, screw them. Because
that right there's the problem with the world.
That's what I was about to allude to. I appreciate that, Chris. Because the thing is, situations are not going to get better unless it's guys like y'all speaking up. Because you know what? They've heard guys like me scream, march, protest, cry, sing "We Shall Overcome" and everything under the sun. But when change start happening is when white people do look and say, you know what? Black people do get treated unfairly, and this shit ain't right. And maybe I can say something. Think about the great white people that sat with the freedom riders, that sat there and held hands with their black brothers and sisters and said, we with y'all. We ain't budging either. And it's going to take that. So, Mike, I appreciate you, bro. Chris, Dustin, I appreciate y'all. Because it's conversations like that and situations like this that helps me to realize the world ain't all bad.
Well, when you tell a white guy you shouldn't talk about that, that's just
You're
more
an
division.
idiot. That's what you
more
are.
Division. It's just more division, and for things to get fixed, we need to be united.
Right.
Yeah,
and I think it's something, you look at it for what it is, and it's like, you saying that, you trying to make me a hater. You're trying to make me exactly how you think I am. And that's like, for me, it's like, nah, like, and Rob Scott knows, hey, it's Northside, but Northside's where they raise goons. Polo G said it best. So I don't give a fuck. But
hey, look, I tell people all the time, hey, look, in Chicago, it ain't about where you at, it's about what you do. Mind your business, you just take care of yourself and be all right.
I was coming from the Field of Dreams this weekend.
Oh, that was beautiful too, man.
Dude,
I know you was like,
It was insane. It was insane. But on my way back, I saw this sign on the highway when I entered Chicago. It said, "Do not start arguments with any other drivers." And I was like, yep, you're going to get shot. You're going to get shot. I said, I'm home. It said, be aware of road rage. I said, yep.
I love Chicago. My sister lives there. She's lived there for probably close to years now. And every time we go, the only thing I don't like about it is just the drive from where I live to there, because there's just from Muncie, Indiana, there's no good way to get there. I have to go south to go back north to get to Chicago. The best way to get to Chicago from here.
Yeah. You know what?
Speaking of Chicago, y'all do know them Bears won, right? I just had to throw that in there.
What's up, baby?
The Bears won. Oh, we got a lot of problems, but they won.
Won.
Montgomery killed my fantasy team.
Man, he killed my fantasy team.
He killed mine too. He killed mine too. But I got Khalil Herbert, so I got him for next week.
Herbert had a day. Herbert 157 yards rushing.
150.
Oh my God. 2
touchdowns, 150 yards. And I've said this from time to time again. Oh man, we talking about the Bears on a Monday?
We're talking about the Bear.
But I've said this from time to time again. I love David. I think David's a great guy. I think he's a great personality. It's a contract year for Montgomery. Frankie! But the big thing about Montgomery right now, you spelled Rob wrong. But it's something. It's respect this man. But it's something right now when Montgomery's on contract year, Khalil's in year 2. We have 2 more years of Khalil after this season. So if David Montgomery is looking for that payday, I think after his first 4 years in Chicago, he hasn't even solidified himself as a top 10 back or even a top 12. So I think if he wants that check, I'm rocking with Herbert from here on out. I'm rocking with Juice. We call him Juice over here. Rob Scott knows, Jay Herbs.
Yeah.
He does his thing. So I think, I've always been a big fan of Khalil Herbert. I think the problem with that is the inconsistencies of his reps. And that's why some weeks he doesn't look great. You get 5 carries one week, 17 the next. So, if Montgomery's going to be missing a significant amount of time, I'm rocking with Herbert for the future.
I love Herbert. Herbert showed me some stuff yesterday. Tough runner.
He did last year too. Remember we talked about last year.
He did some great things last year, and I just think
7 games.
But that's why I love though, because with him and David Montgomery, we kind of have a 2-headed monster,
right?
Because it almost reminded me. We used to have Thomas Jones, and I forgot who else we had. Cedric Benson. We had Thomas Jones and Cedric Benson. That was a 2-headed monster. Thomas Jones was elusive. Cedric Benson was right to run down your throat. So it felt like to me we were getting that again. You know what I mean? And,
right.
I hope the best for. You know what though? I know Justin Fields doesn't have any protection,
right?
But it's kind of getting to the point that I can't make excuses for the guy.
No.
He's not good.
I've said it for what it is, Rob Scott. Like, and me keeping it a stack. The way I've talked about it with people, and the way I've talked about it throughout guys in the organization or just guys, in the business. I've really spoken about it. It pisses me off when everybody doesn't have a mind for their own. And what you just said is perfect. Because I hate when people say you need to throw it 30 times because they heard someone on ESPN say it. Let me break it down for what it is. No, Fuck
He
no.
can't.
Do not throw
I
that
don't
bitch.
want him to throw
Like,
it now
no.
because I'm nervous.
You don't
What
want
you gotta-
want Fields throwing it more than 20 times a game, really.
Right. Now he can, 100% he can. I watched him in college. I watched him in high school. I watched him do everything. He's him and Trevor Lawrence. I've always kept it a stack. Those are the two guys I grew up watching and idolizing because I grew up with them. We're the same age. Like I always, when I was in high school balling, they were in high school balling a lot better than I was. But it's neither here nor there. But it's something, when you look at it for what it is, I know Justin Fields can throw that rock and I know he can make good decisions. Now, the problem is, when I look at it for what it is, you don't want to create bad habits. You don't want to do something like a Jameis Winston to where I'm throwing the ball 50 times a game into windows that just aren't there. I'm throwing it through windows. I'm breaking glass, I'm throwing interceptions. What I do want to see, and Rob Scott brought it up earlier to the MVP year, Lamar Jackson in his MVP year didn't throw 3,500 plus yards. He ran that hoe, and he did it effectively. And that's, I like the Bears' offensive line. I think they're a lot better than people think.
They're better than last year.
They're better than last year.
I would definitely give them that.
Yeah.
But to me, with Justin Fields,
he needs to run.
He needs to first get the mind of a quarterback.
Right.
I don't think he has that because too many times he doesn't have that feeling of when the blind side is collapsing.
Right.
Like to me, sometimes he panics and he runs right into the defense.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, you actually, if you would have boom boom, you was gone. You know what I'm saying?
What that is though, and I've talked about it, and it's something, he statistically, and this is stat guy can even attest for it. He has the smartest IQ in all of football, better than Tom Brady, better than anybody else in the league. He is the smartest football IQ. And what's different about that, and Rob Scott, it's the same thing in schools in Chicago or schools anywhere. I think, I know some guys who, I put Justin Fields in a room right now, put on 12 different tapes at once, he can break down to you every single tape, every single formation, every single thing that he would need to do. But when you're on the field, that's when I need Justin Fields to really just excel. Because when you're on the field, it's like I'm not getting that Justin. I'm not getting that smart individual that sees the game the way he sees it in the film room. Like, you need to be able to have those same mentalities in game. And granted, that's why I don't play ball now. You have about 1 second to make that decision, and that shit's got to be hard.
It almost got to be second nature to you.
Right. But that's what I'm saying is I think he's super intelligent. I just think
slow at seeing the play in the game.
Exactly. And I think that's going to come in time. But Dustin wrote in our private chat, you're going down a historic pattern right now.
Do you know what pattern I'm talking about?
It just being shit. No, I'm playing.
Name one Ohio State quarterback that has actually had success in the NFL.
No, 100%.
That's been my biggest fear with Fields. He's one of the most athletically gifted quarterbacks in football. He's one of the smartest quarterbacks in football. But you can say that with J.T. Barrett, Cordell Jones, and a lot of these quarterbacks that have come out of Ohio State in the last decade, and none of them have translated into the NFL. Same thing with C.J. Stroud right now at Ohio State. The guy's tearing it up this year. He's probably going to win the Heisman, but he may not have success in the NFL either because for whatever reason, Ohio State quarterbacks do not translate well in the NFL. They just don't.
Look at it though.
Why do you think that is?
Because you go from having the most talent around you in college to a team that may not have a lot of talent in the NFL. You can't play the same way you did at Ohio State with all the weapons that you have there in the NFL unless you're going to a team that has all those weapons. And if
you don't have no weapons,
if you're putting up the kind of numbers that you're putting up in Ohio State, you're not slipping out of the first round. You're not slipping out of the top 10 to go to one of these teams that's already pretty much established everything.
Yeah, and that's the same 100%. Thing with like Alabama quarterbacks hadn't had great track records going in the NFL, and that's the same thing digging on teams that don't have as much talent as they did on their college team.
Yeah, now you can kind of see the turnaround with Tua. Now you put some weapons around Tua. Tua kind of looks a little good, you know what I'm saying? So, I got to give it to him. I mean, the man is winning, and Frankie, I caught a little bit of that Patriots game. I still got a soft spot for Belichick. Yeah, those high ankle sprains are different.
Patriots are going to be in trouble if Jones is out for a while.
Yeah, but I mean, right now I would still sit him down, let him heal because the Patriots weren't going to win nothing.
Yeah,
I mean,
call Cam Newton back.
Just be realistic. Like right now is the time for him to heal, get yourself together, and hope because the Patriots are kind of in the same boat. You need to put some weapons around Mac Jones. You I don't care how great of a quarterback he is. We saw for ourselves. We saw the GOAT yesterday in all of his glory. when you have nobody to throw it to, being able to know how to throw the ball means nothing. It means nothing.
Yeah,
you need weapons.
I understand that, but there's no excuse to be getting a delay game on a 2-point conversion.
Yeah, now that was Tom
they got to
Brady.
get that
That's why
fixed. That was terrible.
That's why
yeah.
I said that.
I knew yesterday's
was,
game that was going to be.
Oh my god,
that was going to be an ugly game between the Bucks and Packers because neither team has any great receivers really.
Yeah, and like you said, that delay a game, that's a lapse of judgment on Tom Brady's end. I think he was trying to do too much. Like, bro,
and I think they got
the 2-point conversion, bro. You trying to change this? You trying to get your Peyton Manning on? Let's get this playoff, and then you have no timeouts. So, you got to be aware of that stuff, man.
But it was like they didn't get lined up though. Like there was like 12 seconds left on the play clock. It's like you're going. It's a 2-point conversion. There's no reason you should be getting lined up late.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
And, been at the line, then he had time to make those changes and get to what play he wanted to be in.
Yeah. Hey, I will say the video clip of the day yesterday was the Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Hey, he lost it. He lost it. And all he saw was a hand do this. Like, oh Lord Jesus. That was funny. Oh, the Panthers beating the Saints. Baker Mayfield still trash. That's how I feel. That meant nothing to me. I've said it once. I've said it again. That guy is trash. I'm sorry. I like Baker the guy. I mean, Baker seems like a fun dude.
What? No.
I like Baker.
No.
I like his attitude.
No,
you got to be kind of cocky,
to me, bro. Don't talk to me.
You got to be kind of cocky. I'll rock with Baker.
Nah, you can be cocky, but you got to back it up.
Baker.
Don't talk to me if you play like shit and you talk like shit. Yeah,
but he trash though.
You can't talk shit and be shit. It's different. No.
And I tried to defend them, say he was going to be good this year at Carolina, but I'll be honest with you.
Y'all.
Jacoby Brissett looks better in Cleveland than what Baker did last year.
Jacoby out there going crazy.
I know OBJ laughing right now.
Hey, you know what though? Skip Bayless won't let it go, bro. He won't let it go. He won't tell himself like Baker is not good. He is going to defend that man to his dying breath. I need that type of loyalty in my life.
100%. What y'all thought on the Panthers beating the Saints? Damien missed it. No, we don't care. Yeah. We do not care.
Yeah, nobody cares. Jameis Winston, he's bad. Like he's like bad, good, bad. Like okay, there's a little glimmer of hope. Nope, he's bad. It's messed up, man. You know what? And
I think that goes.
You
back
heard
to
how
I was mentioning earlier about getting bad habits when you're younger.
Yeah,
and that's what I was talking about Fields with is you don't want this kid to throw the ball to windows that aren't there, because then when you do put talent around him, he's going to still force balls in the windows that aren't there, and that creates sloppy habits. What I want to see from Justin is to see you running the ball more. Let's see some more RPOs. Let's see some more Cole Kmet, first of all, because I'm tired of fucking waiting. Sorry. I'm tired of waiting for this kid to get acclimated. You're tight end. And Rob Scott knows.
He was decent like yesterday.
He's from Chicago.
He was decent. That man
is a fantasy team. It's been pissing me off.
But I'm going to break it down. Everybody says, he's from Chicago. First of all, you're from Naperville. Don't talk to me. Second of all, I don't care if you're from Chicago. Like, I don't. I grew up a Bears fan. Hey, me too. That's cool. Go catch a fucking football, kid. Like, that's what it is at the end of the day. I need this kid. I need to figure out by the end of this season, going into next, are you tight end 1 or are you tight end 2? If you're tight end 2, perfectly fine. No problem. But I got some more free agents I got to sign or some more guys I got to draft. Like, Cole got to figure it out. I can't have you catch. Rob Scott said, hey, had a great day. It was his first catch in 3 games. Yeah,
his first catch. It was so bad. The announcer announced it.
Yeah, I was like, no shit.
For the Colts yesterday, that rookie tight end that caught the 2 touchdowns, that's his first 2 catches of the season.
You got it. In today's game, you have to implement.
And I get it takes time, to get into your mode, but I didn't even see the guy run a fucking route until game 3. Like Luke Getsy, the offensive coordinator, and I hope Dustin's still here because we talked about it all off season. I love Matt Eberflus. I love who he is. I love his passion. I love his commitment. But that's why I wanted Brian Dable. Because Luke Getsy's never been an offensive coordinator a day in his life, and now he's the offensive coordinator. Oh, but He was in Green Bay. I don't care.
So was
Nathaniel
Nathaniel
Hackett
Hackett
was in
the
Green Bay.
head coach too.
Exactly. Like, and how's Nathaniel Hackett look? How's McDaniels look?
He
How
happy.
do all these guys look? Like, Brian Dable was a sure fit in Chicago. Dable. It was beautiful. He looks like
I will agree with you on that, except for one point. The moment the Giants hired Joe Shane as their GM, you knew Daboll was going to New York.
100%.
The moment that happened, the Bears had to have gotten to Daboll first. But the moment that the assistant Bills GM goes to New York, you knew Daboll was going to.
Yeah, I think so too. But I just think it was one of those things. Throw the money at him. The Millies talk. I don't care what anybody says, and I think that's something everybody needs to take into consideration. The Bears went the cheaper route for a first-time head coach that is a defensive-minded guy that's typically going to be a lot cheaper than one of the best offensive coordinators in the game. And that's why you rush over 150 yards a game, because you don't have a passing game. How can you expect Kmet to catch balls when the O-line ain't helping? He is getting double teamed. Let me tell you something, Damian, and this is why I know you ain't watching.
Ain't
He's
nobody
not getting double teamed. He's blocking.
Yeah, he's blocking. So
Right,
I want
you
to break it down
double
for
team
Damian
him.
too. Right now, that guy's going to be proud of me too, because I actually know the facts.
Who double teaming him?
Braxton Jones and Larry Borum are top 10 at blocking for the pass. So what are you talking about? The offensive line looks solid. Lucas Patrick looks solid. Cody Whitehair is a Pro Bowler. You have Sam Mustipher, who's dog shit. But outside of that, the offensive line is pretty solid. You have Tevin Jenkins, who's excelled. And so, yes, he is blocking, but I'm not going to say he's blocking to help the offensive line. The offensive line doesn't need him.
He's blocking because he can't do anything.
Yeah, he's blocking because you can't have him run a route because he has cinder blocks for hands and bricks for feet.
Yeah, I was about to say he almost got cinder blocks on his feet too.
Yeah,
he's got some passes yesterday, but I was like, dude, I might be faster than him.
100%. I mean, Cole is one of those guys. I've never looked at him and said that's an athlete. And in today's game, what a tight end needs to be, a Kyle Pitts, a Travis Kelce, a George Kittle, a Mark Andrews,
I was about to say,
who shits out fantasy points like it's nothing. But it's
even Knox from Buffalo.
Even Knox. And he's a little more inconsistent, but I think that's a Josh Allen thing when you have Diggs and all those other guys. But, it's something, you have to take into consideration and look at it for what it is. It's like, Cole Kmet is not an athlete. Cole Kmet is a big body, and that's what he is. And I think, and Dustin hit it on the head too. We talk about Ohio State and quarterbacks. What comes out of Notre Dame?
Harrison Smith.
Exactly. But outside of that, if you looked at a position right now in the NFL and said Quentin Nelson, exactly. You have solid offensive linemen, but they don't breed tight ends. Now, somewhere I think breeds tight ends, you look at a place and they're horrible football team, but Iowa breeds tight ends. You look at Alabama, they do pretty solid. Florida does pretty solid. Other places do pretty solid.
Yeah, how did Iowa end up with Noah Fant and TJ Hawkinson on the same damn team?
Exactly.
In college, like how did one of them not transfer, and how did they end up like getting equal targets?
Because the reason they stay, and George Kittle said the same thing, the reason they stay is because of how good the tight end coaching is there. And I cut Cole Kmet after 1 and 2 weeks. Hey, Nate, why are you banned on Facebook? But that's
I was wondering that as well.
What'd you say, Nathaniel?
Nate done pissed somebody off.
Somebody was talking shit about his Broncos, and Nate.
Hey, Greg. That's what I told my dad yesterday on the way home from that wrestling show. I was like, I guarantee you, Greg is pissed after that Colts Chiefs game.
He's not here right now. The G report, mad as hell.
But... Hey. Also, too, man. First of all, can I just give Dustin his flowers of how he just throws out random names on teams? And Dustin, I love you, dude. It's just you're really great at what you do, my guy. I mean,
thank you, Rob.
You really are like a sports encyclopedia. So I had to give that man his flowers, right? Because when he just said that about Iowa, I'm like, who knows that?
No,
he does.
People that know that are people in the Midwest and even people from Chicago. Like, you really need to be paying attention to this stuff to be able to see it. Like, a lot of people couldn't even tell you that George Kittle was in Iowa. David Montgomery was in Iowa. They produce running backs and they produce tight ends, and outside of that, they don't produce much else. But
David Montgomery was Iowa State.
I love Dustin, though, man.
Yeah, Iowa State.
David Montgomery was Iowa State, and George Kittle was Northern Iowa.
Yeah, but again, Iowa as a whole producing like crazy, and I think that's something that's that hard-nosed type mentality, though. The Midwest makes tight ends. They make running backs. And a big part of that is the weather. A big part of that is, they're not hugely big schools, so they fight for extra yards. They fight for what they do. And I think that's not me just, obviously Northwestern is still shit. We know that. I'm not going to say Urbana's any good, but, they definitely do produce the right kind of mentality. And that's exactly what you want. And out of Cole Kmet, I just don't see that. And that's my TED Talk. That's
let's talk about the primetime game last night, because I think Denver is in a lot of trouble.
Nathaniel, no, they're not. They're not in trouble at all. Nathaniel Hackett's going to be fired after one season because the main reason why they brought him there was he said he could get Aaron Rodgers to come there. Aaron Rodgers did not come there, so option 2 is Russell Wilson, who is not a very bad option number 2 at all. But now you're proving as a head coach that the only reason why you were so successful as an offensive coordinator was because of Aaron Rodgers. You got fired from your OC job in Jacksonville. The Packers picked you up and you worked with Aaron Rodgers for 3 years to build your resume. You're a Josh McDaniels 2.0 that can't coach.
Ooh, talk your stuff there. Yeah, because that's bad, bro. Like, I'm looking like everybody last year, and that's a lot that I wasn't one of those people, but when you brought it to my attention, I saw what you were saying. There was a lot of people, especially in this company, saying, hey, Denver is one quarterback away. And you get that quarterback, and it's like they're starting to win games, but
you think
like
Hackett's the reason?
That
you think
was
Hackett's
bad.
the reason that Wilson's got off to kind of a slow start as well? Because Wilson hasn't looked.
It's got to be Hackett's scheme, because Russell Wilson isn't going to just go from being a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback to looking the way he does overnight. It has to be Hackett's scheme.
Yeah, I think it's also a part of it is Russell, but I don't think it's Russell's game. I think it's when you have such a rough season like he did last year, being so injury prone and not really having exactly what you wanted in an offensive line, he doesn't have anything to go into this season to build on. Like he's trying to rehab still. You can't tell me he's perfectly fine. Like he shattered a bone in his hand.
You can tell he hesitates. He hesitates to run sometimes, and that's not Russell Wilson.
And that's not
Russ.
Russ.
His best is when he can make plays with his legs, and
right.
Yeah. Like I said, you saw him do it one time last night, and that's when they had that touchdown drive.
Exactly. And I don't think it has anything to do with, I've heard a couple people say, I don't think it has anything to do with age. I think he's tired. I think, you expected to go to this perfect fit. Tom Brady's a perfect example. His last year in New England didn't look great. The exit in the playoffs against the Titans didn't look great. But then you go to a perfect situation. Great offensive line, Bruce Arians, Evans, Godwin. You have all these other studs. You bring in Gronk, obviously, Rob Scott, Scotty Miller.
And then the most underrated relationship is him with Byron Leftwich.
Exactly.
He has a great relationship with that offensive coordinator and Byron Leftwich.
And then you look at the Tampa Bay defense was ranked top 3 year.
Looking good this year too.
But my point in saying all of that is now you look at the situation with Russ. Tim Patrick off rip out for the season. Jerry Jeudy, I'm waiting on that because Jerry Jeudy is always banged up. Jerry Jeudy is always injured. They have this kid Albert who's pretty solid at tight end, but like Cole Kmet, he still hasn't really emerged as that guy. You hope to be that guy, but he's not that guy quite yet. I think they expected him to be the Noah Fant replacement, and it really hasn't transferred into that yet. And then you look at a guy like Sutton. I like Sutton. And then you have RBs by committee because for whatever reason, they don't trust Williams for whatever reason. I love Williams. I think he's a stud. Whatever reason Melvin Gordon is still getting playing time is beyond me. But it's something, you really look at it for what it is. And I think Russ understands that, it's not as beautiful as a situation as he once thought. Now it's better than Seattle. But, I mean, if we're being completely honest, the weapons aren't better than Seattle. The offensive line might be better. The running backs might be better. But from a wide receiver standpoint, I'd still take DK and Lockett over Sutton and Jeudy.
Yeah, because Judy's messing up my fantasy. And also, I have to say, too, about this Denver team, I don't know if we can blame coaching. Yeah, Hackett has made some very, very questionable calls. But when do you start looking at Russell Wilson? That's the question.
I think you start looking at him around the midseason mark.
Yeah.
Like, that's when you're like, all right, right now, let's be real, Rob. Tom played like shit yesterday. Aaron's played like shit multiple times. I will be
Yeah.
back in 26
Yeah.
hours. Counting the minutes, Nate. Miss you, baby.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, a lot of guys don't look good at the beginning of the season. Ryan Tannehill has looked awful. A lot of guys just don't look great. And I think in a new system, which isn't really a system, it's more so of a, hey, we're going to try this and see if it works, because Nathaniel Hackett never had a system of his own before.
Yeah.
It's
I give you that. I give you that about like the first half.
Yeah.
Just learning, because that's why I'm not so quick
Not
to
just
pounce
that.
on
You
them.
look at the
But
play
if you
calling,
really look,
man.
yeah,
Right.
and if you look at it, if the Raiders wasn't so bad, Denver would be the talk of that town.
I mean, if
Like
you
the
look at
Raiders
play
are getting
calling,
all that bad attention because they just cannot get over that hump.
look at the play calling. The way their offensive line wasn't playing good at all last night, and they kept trying to run these long developing routes the whole time. It's like, run some quicker routes, get the ball out of Russell's hand, so he's not back there getting killed.
I think there's a different level to it too, and I can't speak for Russ. I'm not on the field with him. I can't tell you what he's doing, but I think there's levels to it. I truly do. I think there's guys like Tom Brady. There's guys like Aaron Rodgers who can sit there and call an audible if they see something different. But I think Russ runs the play that's designed. I think Russ does exactly what Nathaniel tells him to do, and I think that's why you're not seeing success, because Russ isn't throwing audibles out there. I think Russ is a guy who believes in his coach. He's not going to sit here and jump on anybody's toes in year one. I think that's something that you kind of have to earn a respect of to be able. And Russ has that respect to change a play if he wants. But I mean that in so of being like, Nathaniel's brand new, not going to come in here and try to be the coach and the quarterback. But I think at some point Russ needs to take a look and say, yo, this play is shit. Like, I'm switching this up. I'm changing this to this. And Jerry Jeudy, I don't know if you guys saw the tweet that he deleted. I'm sure Dustin saw it. He said something to Shannon Sharp last night that was insane. He deleted the tweet. He was just talking shit to Shannon Sharp. Shannon was talking back. It was crazy, but I think there's a lot of immaturity. There's a lot of young cats on this team. And Russ is kind of in a point right now to where it's not a Tom Brady Tampa situation to where everything's perfect. This is an experience.
It's almost like they bought in
point,
a veteran to be with kids.
Right.
And to your point, Mike, I think there was one time last night I saw him audible, and that was when he hit the back shoulder throw to Sutton there in that last drive.
And how did that look? Exactly.
But
But you don't want
the best plays of the game.
If Rob Scott brings me in, my bad, Rob, but if Rob Scott brings me into his job and I'm working with Rob and I'm doing something and Rob tells me, yo, I need you to do this way because this is how I do it. And I do it a different way. And then everybody knows I did it a different way. Yo, Rob just brought me in here, like, you don't want to step on anybody's toes like that.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's a respect thing. Like, once I get acclimated into what I'm doing and I understand what I'm doing, then that's fine. Like, if he decided to do that with Pete Carroll, Pete ain't got no problem with that. Pete understands that there's a relationship there, there's a bond.
Mm-hmm.
But with Nathaniel Hackett being brand new, never even being a head coach before, that looks bad. If you're calling audible the majority of the game.
When LaFleur went to Green Bay, there was all that talk about him and Rodgers, if he was going to let Rodgers audible and all
right.
that. You had that.
But now they've built that relationship. It's a beautiful thing. So I think, it's definitely going to come in time, not too much time, because I do agree with Dustin. I think this is going to be a one-year experiment. I think, and keeping it a stack, I think there's one of two things that happen. I think Eric Bieniemy ends up being the head coach of the Denver Broncos in 2023.
Wow.
Or I think it's Sean Payton. I think Sean Payton takes that. If Mike McCarthy doesn't get fired. If Mike McCarthy gets fired,
he's going to the Cowboys of Arizona. I'm telling you.
Yeah, he's going to the Cowboys, especially if Kingsbury gets fired as well. But I think, if they don't, for whatever miracle of God, that those two still have a job going in the next year, I could see Sean Payton going to play with Russ.
You know what, though? I do got to give a huge shout out, though, to that defense, though, because the defense of the Denver Broncos is what's been keeping them in, because even though they lost to the Seahawks, neither the Seahawks, the Texans, or the 49ers have scored over 20 points.
Right.
And that's a testament
in the
to
game
defense.
Last year, though, too.
Yeah.
Defense was never their issue. Defense was never Denver's issue. Vic Fangio rebuilt that defense.
Yeah, that defense
has never been an issue. It's been the fact that they've had Drew Lock and all these other quarterbacks that weren't going to get it done, which is why everyone said they were one quarterback away. And that quarterback didn't even have to be a Russell Wilson. It didn't have to be an Aaron Rodgers. It just had to be a competent and capable quarterback. You could have put Ryan Tannehill in Denver's system, and Denver's a playoff team with Ryan Tannehill because of that defense.
Yeah, that defense is going to be interesting, because now especially seeing what we have seen with like the Chargers, and seeing what we just saw with the Chiefs. Now it makes the AFC West even more interesting because now, if Denver happens to be able to score in those games become a lot tougher because we've seen what Denver's defense has done, and we saw what happened yesterday. The Colts played some decent defense on the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
I got to give it to you, Gonzo. Y'all, it's shocked the hell out of me. I tell you that much.
Well,
and we saw what happened with the Chargers and the Jaguars.
Instead of playing that damn so off coverage, they quit playing so much zone and started playing a little more man press and playing more physical. Colts problem is going to be their offensive line.
Herbert.
Their offensive line
Justin Herbert
is where they spend all their money, and the offensive line hasn't been good at all this year.
Yeah, I'm worried about Justin Herbert. That Chargers team, he's hurt. Keenan Allen hasn't been healthy all year. So, we always know in the NFL, injuries play a major role in things.
AFC South is one of the weakest. Has been one of the weakest divisions in the AFC, and they play 3 teams from the South played 3 teams from the West yesterday, and the South won all 3 games.
There we go.
You had the Raiders lose to Tennessee, and of course Jacksonville blew out the Chargers.
Well, all I know is in the AFC North, the Cleveland Browns still winning that division.
You have let me ask you guys this real quick. You have Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts up there as the top 2 for MVP, which I agree they're the top 2 in the running. But do you think if Trevor Lawrence keeps playing like he's playing, that he could maybe be a dark horse to get his name up there in the running?
Without a shadow of a doubt.
I think his game will speak for it, but I do think Trevor's stats need to be a little bit better. And I know that's hard when you only have like Christian Kirk and Travis Etienne and those guys, but statistically, I don't think even if the wins are similar, which maybe they will, maybe they won't. But I do think, your stats, Lamar's doubling him in both rushing and passing. So I think, a dark horse for sure. But I think, it's really would have to be a great performance. I think talent wise, he's arrived, but I think talent around him doesn't scream MVP.
Yeah.
I think Tua can put his name up in that conversation too if Miami keeps winning and he keeps playing well.
I hate Tua.
But you got a point though. Tua has been. I mean, right now he has Miami like nobody saw this coming. At least I did. Like I thought Miami would be a lot better than they were last year because you are putting some weapons around Tua, and I believe Tua has the capability to be a decent quarterback in the league. But Tua is like right now he's overachieving in my eyes. So I would have to say I agree with Dustin. Tua go up there.
What Stat Guy said earlier too about Tua. I want to see a little more.
I need to see more out of Tua yet. Like you can't have a 6 touchdown game one week and then the next week throw for 182 yards.
Yeah,
like you need to be more consistent.
I knew that wasn't going to happen no more.
Did anybody see the meltdown by Ken Dorsey yesterday?
You talking about with the Bills, right?
Bills offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
That would be the greatest meltdown I've ever seen in my life.
That's what I said. That was yesterday's clip of the day. All you saw was this, like, and then you saw somebody just do this.
The best part of the whole thing is you see all the other coaches next to him just looking forward like nothing's ever happening. I'm like, if I'm in there, I'm looking at him getting out of that room before he throws something at me.
He was pissed off, though. He was pissed
I would have had to get out of the room because I've been laughing at him, so I would have got something thrown at me.
I would have went viral. I would have went outside the office like, oh, Lord Jesus, coach is mad. That was funny yesterday. But yesterday, it was some decent games, man. I was pleasantly happy with NFL Sunday,
What do you think about the Monday night before we get out of here? What do you think about the Monday night football game tonight? Cowboys at the Giants.
I think that's going to be a better game than people anticipating.
I think this is a game where Brian Daboll can make a statement. If he can come out and start 3-0 with the Giants, a team who hasn't won more than 5 games in what seems like a decade, and you get off to a 3-0 start with a guy like Daniel Jones, you might be talking about a Daniel Jones extension. I'm not saying like a long-term extension, but maybe a 1 or a 2-year extension. Because I see Mike's face, and let me elaborate why. You saw how Josh Allen played his first couple years in the league, where he was talented, but he still had a lot of peaks and valleys where he wasn't playing at the way he was playing now.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing Brian Dable and Josh Allen is playing like an MVP. Daniel Jones is kind of the same way. He was athletic, but he never really had a good offensive coordinator that could get the most out of him. You bring in a guy like Brian Dable, if you can get more out of Daniel Jones than what you've gotten, now all of a sudden you're winning 9-10 games with him. It's kind of hard to move on from him at that point if your head coach is getting 9 or 10 wins with Daniel Jones.
I still don't believe in Daniel Jones.
Well, I don't believe in him either, but I think he's like Mitch Trubisky, where if you get him with the right coach in the right system, you're going to see what a lot of people saw in Daniel Jones when he was drafted.
I think Mitchell Trubisky's only still relevant because the Bears won 12 games in 2018. And that's just keeping it a stack. I think you need a number one defense to be able to play with a guy like Daniel Jones, and they don't have that. So I think and to keep it a stack, you made I know you're not making a comparison, but like in the conversation of Josh Allen struggling in his first couple years, Josh Allen was a quarterback. Even in Wyoming, he was a pretty solid quarterback first. He has a quarterback mind. Daniel Jones, to your credit, is an athlete. And not a great one, but he is an athlete. I don't think Daniel Jones is a quarterback. Daniel Jones is a kid who plays quarterback, but he is not a quarterback first. I think that's definitely something that he still hasn't figured out. I don't think he can read defense as well. I think he can, from a rushing perspective, he can read it pretty well. But, that's, if you want to play running back, then go bother Saquon. But it's something, you look at Kenny Golladay, you look at Ingram, you look at all those guys that they have over there, and that's decent. It's not great, but it's decent. And he's really he's nothing to me. If anybody's going to fix him, it's Brian Dable. In my opinion, I love Brian. I've always been high on him. I think he's going to win Coach of the Year at some point in his time in New York or as a head coach. And I do not think it's going to be under Daniel Jones' QB1. He is not a quarterback. That's just me.
Yeah. I do think the Giants beat the Cowboys tonight, though.
I think they smacked the shit out of them. 100%.
I don't. I can't believe I'm doing this. But I got the Cowboys tonight.
You know what? Because Rob Scott's got them, I got them. I got the Cowboys tonight. And also, I did hear what you guys said about the Bills offensive coordinator. I just made a TikTok about it, and I captioned it, Bulls fans checking in on Lonzo Ball's injury status, and then it got like a shit ton of likes. So I've been just be throwing shit. Yeah, Rob Scott just be throwing shit.
Hey, that's how I feel. Hey, but do you see, though, the Bulls, though, before we get out of here, they might be interested in Jordan Clarkson for Kobe White and Derek White?
Or I'm hearing Jay Crowder.
Crowder.
Yeah, Jay Crowder,
yeah.
Jordan Clarkson. What's y'all thoughts on LiAngelo Ball? The thing about I'll break it down because I want everybody to hear me when I say this because everybody's freaking out about it. It's the same thing it was last year. It's a non-guaranteed deal. If you're good, cool. If not, goodbye. Like it's the same thing it was. He's definitely going to be a part of the G League. But for the contract of it not being guaranteed, it's the same thing it was last year. The only difference is it just got renewed. So, obviously you can caption it. LiAngelo Ball is in the NBA, but the reality of the situation is when they start chopping down the roster right before the season starts, that's when they're going to have to start making decisions. It's the same thing as last year. It is not different.
Yeah. I'm just happy for him.
I'm happy for him. No, I got
because I
don't got hate for him. I love him.
I feel like it got to be a tough thing to watch a younger brother and your older brother to be in the league and you like, well, I've been, you're the middle child. Being a middle child, I can't speak from experience because I'm the oldest.
I'm the youngest.
But being a middle child can never be really easy because now it's, the oldest, of course, got attention because they were there first.
Now the youngest is better
than
than
the baby is going to get attention because that's the baby.
Right.
So it's like, being the middle child is kind of like,
And then sometimes because you're the middle child, you do crazy things and steal things to get attention. But that's neither here nor there.
That's true.
But I do think in all seriousness, I do think he's good enough. I do think he's something that, on the Hornets roster, especially with Miles Bridges gone, you need a 3 or a 4. Like you need somebody who can run up the board from that perspective. Now, I said this time and time again, you cannot name every single player in the NBA from 1 through 5 to the starters to the last man on your bench. You can't tell me that LiAngelo Ball is not better than one of them. And I truly believe that. I still stand by that.
True.
we had Cristiano Felicio on the Bulls, and I'm looking at LiAngelo Ball, and I'm like,
we're still paying Cristiano Felicio.
Wait, hold on. Who?
100%. He's doing some crazy shit right now in
We're
like
still
Beijing.
paying him $3.5 million a year for another 3 years while he sits his happy ass down in Brazil.
I mean, it couldn't be no
100%.
worse than what the Lakers had to pay Luol Deng.
Won't be hating on Luol Deng.
Fact.
Don't be hating on Luol Deng.
Hey, no, the man from Sudan was good in my book, man. Hey,
100%.
oh God, I miss the Bull glory days. But you know what though? I'm just excited though. The NBA is right around the corner. Like watching everybody doing media day. Oh yeah. I ain't want to announce it yet. You know what I'm saying? Until we ready.
Keep it on the wrap.
Keeping it on. That's why when we do get it together though, it's gonna be legit. But yeah, man, I'm excited, man. I want to see, of course, what the Bulls are gonna do, what the Warriors are gonna do. See my boy Steph comes back for an MVP. Yeah, I'm gonna have my eyes like on Luka, LeBron, and Giannis because I think those are gonna be like the top 3 MVP candidates.
I'll tell you what, right now, my MVP. Now, obviously, my fan favorite is gonna be Luka or Ja.
Yeah, I love Luka. Luka's a dog.
You want a dark horse to look at right now? I don't care what anybody says. Donovan Mitchell is gonna make some noise in Cleveland.
Oh my God, the East has just gotten so tough.
They won 44 games.
Oh my God. And now you add Donovan Mitchell to oh my God, you got Jared Allen.
You gotta think about it too.
You got my boy
Ricky Rubio's
Garland.
At least Bulls not paying Westbrook $40 million. I mean, I guess, but
that's facts. But Westbrook's still playing though. It's different when you still playing.
Yeah.
Now he might not be making a difference, but he go out there and get up a sweat. You know what I'm saying?
Like, at least you give me something to watch. Like Lonzo says,
right, and that's what I'm worried about with the Bulls is Lonzo's injury.
I think Dragic makes up for it.
I'm less worried this year because of Dragic.
Yeah, I think Dragic is solid.
But having Dragic, yeah, you're right. Him
and having Dalen Terry.
I call him DeMar the Chosen. You know what I'm saying? My boy Zach is back. Hopefully, he got his mind stayed right.
Flight 8, baby. Flight 8,
baby. Let's do it. I'm excited about this NBA season. But I'm telling y'all right now, you heard it here first. I think LeBron James is gonna be the MVP of the league.
Hot takes.
I just think, and I don't know, I gotta put some respect on his name. You gotta see me when I say that. You know what I'm saying? I think LeBron James is gonna be the MVP of this year. He's gonna break Kareem's scoring record. He's gonna become the NBA's all-time leading scorer ever. And I just think you can't write a movie better than that. LeBron,
hey, Rob,
he coming.
I'm gonna piggyback off Rob Gonzo before we get out of here. I think out of all the players on the Lakers, I think Russell Westbrook has the best season.
Ooh, hot take everywhere, baby.
He does. I think he has an MVP caliber year statistically.
Ooh.
I think it's the year for Russ. And you know what? You know what it is too? And I know Pride and Frankie are somewhere right now. I could hear their keyboards going crazy. But I do think, when I look at it for what it is, I know Russ. Like, I've watched Russ for a long time. I got his UCLA jersey. And, I'm not just, on the bandwagon about it because I love Russ. And I understand that last year was awful. Rob Scott knows, I wasn't flip-flopping. I was very critical, but I was real at the same time about it. Like, one bad year ever in his 10-plus career. Like that one bad year. And honestly, it wasn't even as bad as a lot of people said, but it was bad. It was bad, but it wasn't the worst. But it was pretty shitty. But it's something right now when you look at Russ's mentality and who he's always been. Oh, he's got that dog in him. And I'm excited to see that dog in him. And with Pat Bev there pushing him, it's going to be dope. It's going to be dope. And I think
if he has that kind of year, the Lakers are going to be back up there as contenders.
Well, I'm gonna piggyback off of what Mike just said.
Okay, hold on.
If you say Anthony Davis, I'm turning off the fucking thing. No.
Given the year that the Phoenix Suns might go through with all the drama and turmoil they're going through, Anthony Davis is gonna end up in Chicago and Aiton's gonna end up in LA.
Oh Lord Jesus!
Now,
bring AD home. Bring him home.
Don't they have to wait until like February to do that?
Not necessarily, because if they sign Vucevic to a long-term deal, which there's a lot of talk that the Bulls might do that anyways, do straight up sign and get Vucevic signed to a long-term deal, then do a 3-team trade. You send Vucevic to Phoenix, Ayton goes to LA, Davis goes to Chicago.
See, I thought Ayton had to
I thought
wait.
they had to
though, 'cause
wait
he
till
just
like
signed.
January or February before they could.
They still wait till January and February, but that's still only 30 games into the season.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
still a
See,
lot.
you know why
Remember,
I don't want
Boston,
AD?
Boston
One,
turned that season
injuries.
around in January. And
I don't want
February.
AD because of injuries. And two, what's weirder?
I'll take
He's-
AD over Vucevic.
Rob Scott, I feel you, but I cannot trust a Chicagoan who's a Green Bay Packers fan. You're weird.
You right. That's weird.
I don't want him. You're weird. Can't
That's
trust
very
him.
weird. You
Can't
right,
trust
like,
him.
dude, I don't even care if you don't like the Bears. You can't like the Packers.
But it's also something to me where it's like, yeah, Rob Scott likes the Tampa Bay Bucks too. I don't care. He loves Tom Brady.
Yeah, I love
But
Tom
if
Brady.
this
Wherever
man
Brady goes,
told me-
I go.
If you told me you had a Rodgers jersey, I'd be mighty
I
skeptical.
can't do it.
brother.
I
I'd be
can't do
mighty
it.
skeptical.
Now, I admit Aaron Rodgers is a bad man in the regular season.
He's a bad
but-
man, 100%. But I ain't
in the
gonna dap
regular
you up.
season-
Get out of here. But I want to ask you this though, Dustin. Chris Gonzo, my bad, bro.
Yeah,
I
bring
know
back
what-
D Rose. I'm with you on
Oh,
that
you're
one,
good.
Damien. Let him retire.
I
here.
think bring back D Rose. That's what
Bring
I
back
think.
Rose.
Trade Kobe White, get D Rose in here. Whatever.
I swear to
But
God, I make
back
my
to what
day.
Dustin said.
That's the best thing
Why
you've
would-
said all day, Damien.
I swear it is.
100%. No, not really saying that. But when you look at AD not wanting to play the 5, why would Chicago want him if he doesn't play the 5?
That's true.
Because we're not
We
putting
need him.
who are we putting at the 5? Drummond?
Yeah, we need him.
You can put Drummond at the 5, and then you can also rotate him with Simonovic.
And then
but-
I like
Drummond.
Drummond.
Drummond to me is just so inconsistent.
The only reason why I like that move is because it gets the Bulls younger. Because Vucevic
Drummond's
is 32,
just so-
going on 33. You're bringing in a guy that's
30.
80's 28, going on 29. You still
He
get about
move like he about,
you get about 4
33,
good years
34,
out of it.
though.
You'll still
He
get about.
moved like he
No,
about
he's injured.
37. Did you
But I
see-
think it also helps AD if he comes to Chicago too, because he can get more rest.
right.
You have guys like Patrick Williams, you have guys like Drummond, Simonovic, and some of these other guys that can actually give him a breather that he can't get in LA. He can stay healthier.
Okay,
and
but
play
think
less.
about it like this, right? Think about it like this. Now, I ain't a Debbie Downer. I'm rocking with what you're saying. If we turn off injuries, it's a great move. But you got Lonzo, who's injury prone. You had Zach, who was injured last year. You had Patrick Williams, who missed the whole season. Now you're going to trade away Vooch, who's one of the most consistent guys on the court. Only time he missed was because of COVID. And that was like for 3 days because they stopped giving a shit because everybody and their mama had COVID here.
Yeah.
But when you look at it and you bring in
Not
AD,
household.
now you look at it, you got AD injury prone, Lonzo injury prone, Zach injury prone, Patrick Williams just missed almost the entire season last year. You have a lot of guys, and Alex Caruso who missed several weeks. That's a lot of injury prone guys, and I'm not really rocking with that. That's just me personally.
That is a lot of injury.
The Bulls just need to get better defensively on the front court, and
A lot better.
that's the problem with Vucevic. He's a defensive liability.
100%.
Yeah, because
You need to get a guy like Anthony Davis or DeAndre Ayton who you can count on to give you 20-plus points, but they can also play pretty good defense, too. That's the biggest issue the Bulls had was when they went up against guys like Giannis or any of these other big front court players, Vucevic is going to get killed because he's
Now-
a defensive liability.
he got
Dustin-
murdered in the playoffs.
Dustin, how do I get Luka on my team?
Say bye-bye to
Man,
DeMar
you
DeRozan
know
and
what?
Zach LaVine or both.
I'm gonna pray to my heavenly Father, and I'm gonna say, Father, send
I don't
my
need
boy
nothing in
Luka
this
home.
Wait, I
All
don't.
I
Wait,
need is
wait, wait. I know how we get Luka on our team. Mark Cuban's got to buy the Bulls.
He can have him. Hey, the way that he treats them in Dallas,
The
I've
way-
heard
Hey,
players talk
for-
about
what hap-
going to Dallas
years-
is
10
their
years ago
favorite place
before
to
this-
play.
10 years ago, before the stupid Ricketts bought the Chicago Cubs, Mark Cuban wanted him. Can he please put his name in the hat again?
Yeah, he almost bought the Pirates as well a few years
Yeah,
ago.
because he's from Pittsburgh. Yeah, but I kind of want him to come to Chicago and buy the Cubs. So Mark Cuban, you can put your name in the hat again.
Hey, I would go to
Come
a
by the
Cubs
Reds.
game then. I ain't gonna lie to you because
Anybody
Come by the whole
Yeah,
Central,
right
bro.
now.
Like,
hey, Mark Cuban got that cake though. He can do it. But yeah, you know what
That
though? I'm
shark
just
thing.
excited. NBA season is back. You know, I love football. Don't get me wrong, but
but ain't nothing
basketball,
like Bulls, baby.
that's my first love.
How
right
far,
there. That's
real
my
quick, how
boo-boo.
far do you think Boston's going to fall with all
Oh,
this
Boston,
stuff going on
nah,
there?
I think Boston is still around
Not
fifth,
too far.
fourth or fifth. I still think Boston is up there, and that's just because each year Tatum is going to get more confidence. Jaylen Brown is going to get more confidence,
Right.
and I think it might work against people. Like Jalen's going to come out like he got something to prove this year. Like he going to come out and say, "I don't want to hear my name in no more trade talks ever again." Like I think Jaylen Brown is about to come out with a vengeance because if you ask me honestly, Jaylen Brown was the best player for the Celtics in the finals.
He was the best player in the finals.
He was the best player on that Celtics
most
team.
consistent guy throughout the entire finals.
He killed Draymond.
Dude,
he gave like he started searching for Draymond. That's how bad it got.
Jason
he was
Tatum
like, "No,
like,
bring him over
50,
here."
I'm gonna drop 50 one night. The next night I'm gonna drop 5 and just keep y'all guessing. And it's like Jalen just kept it a stack 30, 30, 30, 30, 30.
I rocked with Jaylen Brown. He showed me a lot in that finals, and you know what? I think to him too. Think about that. I know in my heart I was the best player on this team in the finals. Now I hear the media kind of backing me up, saying, "Hey, Jaylen Brown was the best person in the finals." And then the moment I look up, you got my name in trade discussion. Like, come on, bro. That's why he tweeted, shaking my head.
Right.
Because it's like, dude, like, I mean, so you know what? I'm going to come out here and give people the business. And guess what? I'm going to request a trade. I'm going to make your life easier. And I think that's what's going to happen. I'm sorry, Pride, but some relationships cannot be reconciled.
I think someone that you could look at, especially in Boston, is you look at the Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets could bring in a Jaylen Brown to match up with kind of both LiAngelo and LaMelo Ball.
Yeah.
I think that would be solid, especially losing Miles Bridges to – I mean, I don't really know the Miles Bridges situation in full detail. I don't really know what that really looks like right now, but as I know, he's not on any team. So they definitely don't have Miles for at least right now. I don't know if, the sentencing of that or what the court situation is, but it's looking bleak. It's looking bleak right now for the Charlotte Hornets because they didn't do a single thing in the offseason. They really didn't. So they got worse, if anything. So I think, if you were a play-in team and then you got worse, we gotta have a conversation. So I think if they could potentially get a Jaylen Brown, which I don't think is going to happen now because they made the finals, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them.
Yeah, the East is – all I know is right now the East is stacked. You got – like we mentioned, you got Donovan Mitchell going over there to Cleveland, play with Darius Garland.
Atlanta,
first
baby.
time All-Star Atlanta. You got Dejounte Murray playing with my boy Trey, Ice Trey.
John Collins coming back.
And a lot of people are saying, and I've been hearing this, a lot of people think Detroit is going to be a lot better this year.
I think they're going to be a lot better too.
So you think you're talking now?
That backcourt, I think they're going to be.
Oh my God! And you still can't forget about the usual suspects in Milwaukee and
Miami,
Brooklyn, because I'm sorry, people keep overlooking Brooklyn. I'm gonna tell you right now, if Kyrie, KD, and Ben Simmons are healthy and playing, I'll put my money on them any day. I'll put my money on them any day.
I think my team's still a couple of years away.
Hey, you still got the Bulls. The Bulls are not going nowhere anytime soon. I think DeMar DeRozan is going to be even more focused and ready to try to redeem himself, because now you don't want to get that stigma that, you can take him to the playoffs and then what? You know what I'm saying? So you got to want to play, and now you got some talent around you. So I just think it's a lot of storylines, and the Western Conference is just wide open. It's wide open. I mean, you after 5, there's a drop off.
After 3.
and you don't know if Phoenix is going to be back up there again. And now remember, Murray's coming back.
Right.
Michael Porter Jr. is coming back.
Right. I think that's how I have it. I have it Golden State, Denver, and then Memphis.
And then Dallas. I got Dallas at 4.
Yeah.
And then I think the Lakers are going to be right there at 5.
Yeah,
I'm telling you now. I think so.
I think it depends on, like Dustin said, I think it depends on Ayton. I think if Ayton comes in after getting this money and balls out, I think they could have Phoenix at 5, but I think it's interchangeable, to be honest.
It's just tough because
Rob Scott
getting a year older.
Rob Scott.
Yeah.
The Clippers, baby.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the Kawhi coming back. I forgot about the Clippers.
Wall, Kawhi, Paul George.
Sorry, but I just had to treat somebody. Somebody was like, I don't think Kawhi top 10. I said, boy, you's a damn fool. When Kawhi is healthy, he's not the person you want to play against.
People forgot about Kawhi because he's been injured.
But I remember what
forgot
Kawhi
about
was
him.
when
It's like,
he
no,
wasn't
Duke could play. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Duke could play. Now he's going to be healthy for the first time in a long time.
And I won't lie to y'all. Paul George was
at least
balling
to start the
last
season.
Year. PG was balling last year. I forgot about the Clippers. They're like, man, and then, I don't really put no stock in Gobert, but you wonder about Minnesota. I mean, I like Anthony Edwards, though. He's a dog.
I was a big Paul George fan until he asked to be out of Indiana.
100%.
But yeah, this NBA, yes, it's almost October. Every time October comes around, I immediately start like the NBA switches start coming on.
And
now
then
I'm watching
January comes around, December you get a little tired, and then
you guys are gonna have your basketball in October. I'm not even gonna be watching basketball till December.
I can't help it, man. I love the
Baseball
NBA.
Basketball is the best.
No, because I got World Cup this year in November.
I forgot about that.
World Cup is in November, and I am a huge soccer fan. And when the World Cup is on, I'm glued to the World Cup. And
there
they had
you
to
go.
move
See, everybody got their preferences. I ain't mad at you because I ain't gonna lie. If I gotta, you can put the best NFL game on and put the best NBA game on. To me, I'm gonna watch that NBA game. I'm gonna click and watch the NFL, but I'm gonna be more tuned in to basketball.
Chris, go to one Indy 11 game next year, and you'll get into soccer.
Chicago Fire's not that bad. I've seen them play.
Chicago Fire is a pile of dog shit right now, and I'm a Chicago Fire fan. They are a hot pile of dog shit right now.
You might be right because I never watched a whole lot of hockey, but then I went to a live hockey game, and it was fun. I'd go back.
The Indy 11 play at Indiana University, Purdue University. They use a football field over there. They put on a great atmosphere for soccer.
I'll have to go check it out. That's only about 40 minutes.
You'll fall in love with the soccer environment if you go to an Indy 11 game.
Only about 40 minutes away from the house. I'll have to go check one of those games out this year.
Go when they play Louisville City because that's their biggest rival.
I'm writing that down. Louisville City.
The Suns ain't gonna be the same no more. That's what I think they lost that window. They had a window in which they could have won. Mm-hmm. It's closed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think the only thing that opens that up is Cam Johnson.
And a lot of people don't like when I say this, man. You're not gonna win if Devin Booker's your best player.
I'm with it.
I don't think so.
Not at this point. I
don't think so.
A few years from now.
I like Devin Booker, but I think
a few years from now, maybe.
He needs to get more skilled because to me, like I told people, and I know, Chris, you got to go do your other show. So this is my last point.
Oh, okay.
Devin Booker, he went crazy in the bubble and they went undefeated. But guess what? They went undefeated in the bubble and they still didn't even make the playoffs, which was a testament to how bad they were playing previously before the bubble started.
And I think,
you get Chris Paul and you immediately go to the finals.
I mean this in a respectful way, though, too. Like Bob Scott and I have talked about it. I don't think there's too far off of a drop-off between Devin Booker and Zach LaVine. And maybe that's my bias, but I think they're very similar. I think they're a number 2 on a championship team.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
Sometimes even a number 3 on a championship team.
Now you're back to talking some stupid stuff again.
Yeah, Damian crazy.
Damian Hernandez, your profile picture is overrated.
Did you say CP3? Oh, my boy, what's wrong with you, boy? What's wrong with you, boy? Who breed you?
Where was Phoenix at before Where was Phoenix at before CP3 got there?
That's what I'm saying. When they got CP3, they immediately went to the finals. Like, it didn't take a year. They immediately went to the finals.
From a lottery pick to the last pick.
You said that was overrated? The only thing that messed CP3 up always is injuries. It's injuries. I don't know what's wrong with him. He gonna get hurt. He never gonna be healthy. And that's what I'm afraid of. Now, he's not LeBron. Nobody's LeBron. LeBron's a freak of nature. Like, LeBron gets older and you look at LeBron like, I'm not worried yet. He still can play. But you look at a guy like CP3 and you're like, that's a year now that you've gotten older, which means you've gotten slower. You can't be the slowest guy on the court or even lose some of your speed if you ain't the biggest dude on the court. He's a very little guy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, man. I love CP3. I really wanted him to win that ring. Like, Giannis, my boy, but I wanted CP3 to win that.
Comments like this are what piss me off.
Yes,
he doesn't make the finals on his own. 14 other players and a head coach make the finals.
Right.
He's not going to win the finals on his own. It's still up to the rest of the supporting cast and the coaches to help you. Yes. The fact that he can get to the finals is a testament to the cast around him.
Mm-hmm.
And by that logic, Damien, you're saying that nobody that wins a championship isn't a good player. There's been good players.
You saying LeBron not a good player because there was many occasions.
By his logic, right there is saying Randy Moss is not a great receiver because he never won a ring.
Well, not one of the greatest receivers that you ever seen.
Yeah, but according to that logic, Randy Moss is not a good player because he didn't win a
And,
championship.
and that logic is stupid. I'm sorry. I don't like to call people stupid, but
I do.
you ask anybody who he said I do. You ask anybody who's the greatest receiver of all time. It's gonna be two names you hear: Jerry Rice or Randy Moss.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've always
Scotty Miller.
not being. I'm not trying to be biased on this because I am a Minnesota fan, but I still say that Randy Moss is a better receiver than Jerry Rice because you look at who Jerry Rice had as his quarterbacks compared to who Randy Moss had as his quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Jerry Rice had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks throwing him the football for 15 years. Randy Moss had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks for like 6 years.
Yeah, Damien, what are you smoking? Come on, Damien. Come on, Damien.
And plus, I'm gonna just be real with you. I am biased. I didn't see Jerry Rice play.
I'm biased.
I saw Moss.
I saw Rice play in the 90s.
His last name is in the dictionary, meaning that somebody caught the ball over you. Like, don't nobody say you got riced.
Yeah.
They say you got mossed. He changed. When you change culture like that, that's why I tell people about The Rock. When they put your terminology in the dictionary, when they say SmackDown, it's become a word now because of just how good you make it. You made Moss good. Even when I do it, I'll be like, "Oh, I just mossed his ass."
And he is still the only receiver in NFL history that was physically unguardable. Yeah, because he had the speed that he could outrun you. He was bigger than you, so you couldn't outmuscle him at the line. And even if you want to put 3 guys on him, he could outjump you.
And bro,
he was open on every single play. He was physically the only receiver that you could not guard.
Bro had immaculate hands.
Yeah,
he was catching anything that was thrown in his direction. Matter of fact, it got to the point he probably would tell the quarterback, "Just throw the ball over there."
You didn't see that interview, did you? You didn't see that interview, did you? When he was with Tom Brady.
What he said?
He said, "When I put my hand up at the line of scrimmage, it means I'm open." First play of the game in the first game with Tom Brady, he put his hand up in the air before the ball was even hiked. And then Tom Brady looks and then throws it 50 yards downfield, and he makes a one-handed catch over the safety.
That's right.
Tom Brady looks at him, he's like, "I guess you are open."
Hey, you only got to tell Tom Brady one time. He said, "I'm coming back to you, my boy." Wasn't that a magical year, y'all?
I got to see Moss play live a few times in Indianapolis.
Oh, my God.
And actually here in Muncie, because when he played for Marshall, they'd always come play Ball State. And so I got to see him play in college.
Yeah, he used to hurt our heart, bro. Being a Chicago Bears fan, that was really in our glory days when Urlacher was the man. You had Urlacher, Briggs. Oh, my God, I missed them days. But Randy Moss hurt our feelings so many times. Like, I remember watching him and Dante Culpepper. I used to get nervous. Like, oh, God, we playing Minnesota. Like, hey, I remember that, boy. Randy Moss used to hurt our heart, boy, tiptoeing in the back of the end zone, and man, some of the catches he used to catch on the Bears, and you'd be like, man, we got him. It was the 2 teams that scared me the most it wasn't even Green Bay because I just knew Brett Favre, he just had magic, but it was Minnesota and it was Atlanta because it used to be a chess match with Brian Urlacher and Michael Vick. I remember watching those chess matches. Like Urlacher was like, my job is QB spot. Whatever Vic go, I remember Urlacher made such a beautiful play one time. I was like, I didn't know that big man could run so quickly laterally. Like
the scary part is, can you imagine the numbers that Randy Moss would put up in the way the NFL is right now?
Oh my God. Oh, bro.
With the pass happy league that it is right now and some of the quarterbacks that are in this league right now, can you imagine the numbers that he would be putting up right now?
Yeah, look what Cooper Kupp did. Now multiply that by 2.
Yeah. I would be willing to bet that Randy Moss right now could have a 2,500 to 3,000 yard receiving season if he played in the way. If it was prime Randy Moss playing in the league right now, he could probably have a 3,000 yard receiving season.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Look at prime T.O. He's still beating young boys in 4 threes. Did y'all see that? T.O. was out here beating college students running.
I did see that.
Man is almost 50 years old. It's ridiculous, bro. Like, it's ridiculous.
Oh, man. But I do got to get out of here, fellas.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry, y'all. I love talking sports. I just
Rob Scott.
I think it's been a great show. I had fun.
I have always had fun.
Hey, Rob. Man. Actually, Rob, you got a couple minutes you can stick around after someone talk to you something about wrestling.
Okay.
Dustin, you got any final thoughts before we get out of here? Mike?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Wisconsin native, actually Johnson Creek, Wisconsin native Lance Leipold. the head coach of Kansas University, who's got Kansas off to their first 4-0 start since like the 1950s. Former UW Whitewater head coach that won 7 consecutive national titles with Whitewater, went 34-1 all time in the NCAA playoffs with Whitewater, and was 109-5 as a head coach at Whitewater before taking the college job. He is most likely going to be headed to Nebraska after the end of this season, as Nebraska is willing to buy out his contract at Kansas and make him the new head coach at Nebraska.
Shout out to him. Congratulations, Coach.
Mike, you got any final thoughts before you get out of here?
I fucking hate the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, you can say that again.
What about you, Rob?
That was my only thought. I'm sorry.
Well, I got 2 things. NBA is on his way back, so again, I can't wait to watch some basketball. And then shout out to my boy Mike. Interview with that Cubs prospect.
Yes, sir. Dustin
Yes,
has one
sir.
too. Dustin
Man,
has one too.
Oh yeah, he was on Dustin's show. So look at y'all up here with y'all prospect trading sales. But no, that was decent show. I caught a little bit of it. So man, shout out to y'all, man. Out
Very,
here
very, very down there.
Chicago sports scene.
100%. And I do have one thought. Me and Rob, are we doing it? Rob,
Let's do it. I'm doing it. I told you, I'm down, bro.
Rob, Scott, and I
I
have
got
a
the
new
hat
show
on.
coming out called Bullshit. It's going to be all about the Bulls. We're going to be breaking down every stat sheet, every box score. We're going to be talking about every single Bulls game this year. It's going to be dope. It's going to be on the ASAP network. Rob, Scott, watch those hands. I don't know what you were doing. But, if I see that finger bend, I gotta go.
No. I was out there letting them know that we on the ASAP network, baby. Yes, sir.
Chill out. But yeah, Bullshit. We're gonna be tuning into that as soon as training camp starts. As soon as we start to get a better idea of when the dates are gonna be for that. We're gonna have a little experimental run, probably in a couple.
Training camp starts tomorrow.
What the fuck, Rob? We gotta go. All right, we gotta go. See you later.
Hey, well, you know what?
Bulls Media Day is going on right now. Training camp starts tomorrow.
I was just watching Zach LaVine while we was on the show. I got Zach LaVine over here playing in the back.
Yes,
they got Durant up here talking right now.
Yeah, I've been watching Media Day coverage. Yeah, I'm excited, bro. Like when it gets to NBA, I'm crazy, and I'm excited to partner up with Mike. I know Mike has done. It's more than just what he's done, like on the media scene. He's a cool guy as well. So
thanks, man.
Man, I rock with Mike, and
Rob.
yes, sir. So I just know this is gonna be great. We both got the excitement. I've done a couple shows on Mike and the Mike in the past, and I've always had a good time being with Mike. So I'm excited. And if you guys ever want to jump on, come holler at us, man. We talking balls, baby. We talking hoop. You can't go wrong, baby. You can't go wrong.
Except Damien. Don't come on our show, Damien. No, I'm kidding, Damien.
No.
I love Damien.
All right. I want to thank everybody for joining us today for the ASAP Afternoon Blitz. We'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. Have a great day. I'll be live here in about 15, 20 minutes with Easy Money, a sports betting show.
Yes, sir.
Also have Horseshoe Talk at 6 p.m. and Gonzo and the Judge tonight at 11 p.m. So
my boy Gonzo be working, baby.
3 more shows a day.
Yes, sir. Yes,
And
sir.
I do got one more thing. Tomorrow morning, join us for Around the Bases, me and the Stat Guy, our baseball show. We'll start back up tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time. So join us for that tomorrow morning.
Everybody working, baby. Let's work.
Tomorrow. Wrong button.
Whole sports all plays. Yeah. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. Sport all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Whole sports all plays.